Hello, my name is Sara Bocaneanu and I'm very happy to take you through a tour for some very exciting technology tonight. Some of these technologies are new, some of them have been around for quite a long time, but now they're gaining new attention as businesses start to take a deeper look at them and see what business opportunities there are, what benefits there are for their business processes, and what new businesses can actually be built around these technologies. The focus of our discussion today will be on the business benefits and also on factors that will aid in the implementation of these technologies. This was not designed to be an in-depth comparative analysis of different software packages. One of the reasons, of course, is that there are so many of them that it would take a 2 or 3 day conference just to go for the most basic of them. So let's begin this tour by looking at the landscape of collaborative technologies plotted on 2 scales. On the one hand, the question is, how many people can work at the same time? How many people can collaborate at the same time using that tool? And on the other hand, how high a degree of responsiveness does that particular technology enable and encourage? And we see, for example, that email, many people use it. Many people use it at the same time, but the responsiveness is not very high. While, for example, video conferencing and phone calls, of course, the responsiveness is very high, but there is a limited number of people who can use them, even in multimodal conferencing and in large video conferencing rooms. And even here, we only have a very few of the collaborative tools available. If we were to plot all of them on this chart, we'd probably just fill it out. However, our time today is limited, so I have decided to focus on the most exciting of them. I have selected the ones that I consider bring the most business benefits, and also I have selected some so that we have the entire map covered. As we do this, I want you to keep this in mind. This is from a very interesting book on high-end technology, why it drives us crazy and how to cope with it, how to restore the sanity. We will look and see that the technology is really very fragile. This is true even of technology that we have had around for a long time, like email. Even now, after decades of using email, you send an email, and after a couple of days you realize that it didn't reach your destination. Perhaps it was caught by the spam filter, or you search for a file and you cannot find it. So this is true even for technology that has been around for decades. But for new technology, like much of the technology we will be looking at today, this is even more true. So let's just keep in mind this. When we look at a dancing bear, we're not looking there to see a wonderful dancer, a very graceful dancer. The wonder isn't that the bear is a wonderful dancer. The wonder is that the bear dances at all. The wonder with the technology we're looking at today is that it actually exists. It actually does help us collaborate. And let's keep in mind this. The first technology we will be looking at is email. Email, of course, has been around for decades. It's also the most widely used collaborative tool. And I want to take a short look at why it is the most widely used collaborative tool, because from there we'll be able to extrapolate some very important factors that will help us analyze other collaborative tools as well. Email is so widespread, everybody uses it, which means we can collaborate with basically everybody. Also, email is completely integrated into all of our applications. Almost anything can be attached to an email and sent to another people. Of course, the collaboration is not real time. Of course, the other person has to have an application that is able to edit that document, but email is pluggable into all of our applications and enables us to collaborate. Email is also highly interoperable. There are basically no concerns when sending an email if the other person has the same client of email or not, it doesn't matter. So these are some of the reasons why email has been so widely used. However, email is also one of the poorest collaborative tools available. And I want to take a short look at why that is. When you look at somebody's email inbox, what you usually see is a set of completely unintelligent data. We have there mixed information, requirements for action, and sometimes quite a large number of data that is not safe for work. It's all mixed together. Of course, there are search functionalities, but these do not work as we expect them to do. Often we are looking for an email from somebody, we cannot find it. It is usually because we're trying to look for that email using the words that we would have said, while the search engine is only able to look for the words that that person used. We cannot add tags to email, at least in the way most of us use it. Also, the data is siloed into different inboxes. Each person has their own inbox. We are not able to look into each other's inboxes. And some other factors. We have grown so used to the use of email that we don't even think about the fact once we send an email, unless the person is using compatible technology, we usually cannot retract it. And usually the person to whom we have sent an email that we want to pull back is not using that technology. So, and email is also definitely not a document manager. Hence, emails back and forth, who has the latest version of this document? So email is a very good collaborative tool, but it is also a very bad collaborative tool. And this is the framework that we will want to keep as we analyze the other collaborative tools we will be looking at. The other collaborative tools have been coming from the grassroots. They are a grassroots initiative. They were developed by internet surfers, by gamers. They were developed by teenagers who started to use them. And as these people entered enterprises, they started to bring them into the enterprise, but usually it was by the back door. They have crawled into corporate use, and this certainly opens a lot of opportunities for collaboration. There are also risks because they have often not been brought into the open. The first one of these grassroots technologies we will be looking at is instant messaging. Of course, everybody uses instant messaging, but at the workplace it is often seen as a disruption, as an interruption. However, studies have shown that employees who use instant messaging at home are more likely, of course, to use instant messaging at the workplace, but they're also more likely to share information. They are more likely to use all kinds of mobile devices, to use text on mobile devices, and also they are much more likely to check for availability data for other people before deciding how to contact them and when to contact them. So this is true of people who use instant messaging at home. However, IBM in 2004 issued a report on its usage of instant messaging within the enterprise. 3 million instant messages a day were being sent, which at that time had reduced telephone usage by 4%, had reduced the load on email servers, had sped up decision making, sometimes from weeks to minutes, because people do respond to instant messaging. It is very high on the responsiveness scale. Collaboration had improved, as well as productivity and teamwork. Also, an IDC study predicted that very soon the number of corporate users of instant messaging will be about half of the total number of users of instant messaging. However, there are problems with that, because although 1 in every 2 instant messengers are using it for corporate purposes, they are usually using the public networks, which raises important security concerns. Clients are usually, desktop clients are usually not patched for the latest, with the latest versions. There is also a lack of education among users. We do not know of the prevalence of malware, trojans, viruses that can be propagated via public networks. And for administrators, there is a lack of tools, of proper tools to allow them to control and contain the risks associated. So I propose that we look at some of the enterprise instant messaging services available. I have only selected one of them because not only does it address the security concerns, it addresses them because it relies on Microsoft's live communication server and on SharePoint, but it also does a very good job of taking instant messaging from what it was at the grassroots level and transforming it into a very powerful tool for enterprise collaboration. It is Perlano's Mind-Align, and what it does, very interestingly, it offers persistent channels, persistent discussion channels. Anybody can go into that channel at any time and see all the discussions that have been going on that topic. And also, it offers search, very good search capabilities, allowing people to go back to discussions that have been had and reuse the information there. It also features filters, meaning that I can set up a filter on my own name and be alerted whenever anybody in any chat room talks about me. I can just drop right in like a prescient god and start interacting with the people that have been talking about me. I can set up a filter for my clients, so if anybody within my enterprise is talking about something that concerns my clients, I can immediately be alerted to that, or for products or for anything else that I want to be alerted to. So very interesting what can be done. And this is from the banking sector. The profit of a single trade that was enabled by this type of technology paid within 2 weeks for the implementation of such a system, because people from different continents were able to communicate, coordinate, much better responsiveness, much better decision making. Let's go now to another very interesting topic. Actually, when we began this, preparing to organize this conference, we thought that video conferencing would be the most important of our topics. We are very excited by it. But, and we started to look at some of the things that are now on the market, things that are quite new, HD, and there are very interesting offerings from both Cisco and HP. These technologies are so good that they, the term of telepresence is now used to describe them. Actually, some executives who have tried them say that it is pretty much unnerving. You actually feel as if you are looking at that other person and they're right across the table from you, even though they're many thousands of miles away. However, the more we looked at them, of course they're exciting, they're also very expensive. We also looked at some of the research that asked IT professionals how interested they were in actually implementing some of these systems. And the results were quite astounding. Very, very little enthusiasm for this type of systems. Very few IT professionals were planning to use them. So we went back and looked at some more research. We looked at some of the academic research on what's the good in video conferencing. Research was done on the use of different collaborative tools to solve problems, and especially at the trust issues in problem solving. And these issues, these studies showed that once an initial conversation had been had face-to-face, building trust was actually, the benefits for building trust were minimal for video conferencing compared to audio conferencing. So we said, okay, maybe it's not all that exciting. There are also other reasons, of course, why IT professionals are not so very excited about these, some of them being the very large bandwidth needs, the issues with interoperability. It's no good if the person I want to talk to doesn't have the same system. And of course, other issues such as easy controls. Many of these systems actually need an IT professional to be there all the time. And you have to set up a room that with a special table. This type of boat or banana-shaped table is the one that offers the best view. So we started looking at some other things. Desktop video conferencing, which is versus the very high price tag of HD video conferencing. This has almost no price tag. Some of these things are even open source, free and open source. People are using webcams more and more, and many laptop computers actually come equipped with a built-in camera. However, even with Skype, it seems that people use instant messaging with Skype much more than they use the audio, and they definitely use the audio much more than they use the video conferencing. So it still remains to be seen. In 1964, when AT&T showed its first video phone at the World Fair, they predicted that within a very short time we would all be using video for all of our calls. This has not happened yet. We still have to see if it ever will and if we actually need it. Now, one of the most exciting technologies that I want to cover tonight are